Hello my dear students, welcome back to sublesson 3.7. In this sublesson we're going to talk about multiplication and division. How was the addition and subtraction quizzes? Was good, wasn't it? So you did pretty good. I'm so happy to hear that. Okay, good, keep it up the good work. I'm very proud of you, and you should be very proud of yourself. You belong to an elite group, which is you belong to Math Victory, the Score A Math Victory group, okay? And you are Mr. Max student, and I'm very proud of you. Okay, let's talk about multiplication with a fraction. Now let's say, for example, if I were to give you a round number, or in other words, a whole number multiplying with a fraction. Okay, let's say if I say 6 times 2 over 3. So whenever you have a round number multiplying with a fraction, okay, you have to convert that number, the whole number, into a fraction. So how do we convert a 6 into a fraction, which is what? 6 over 1. 6 over 1 is a fraction, so 6 over 1 times 2 over 3. So the key is, when you multiply, you want to have two fractions. That's the key thing is, let's see if there's a 3, we'll talk about it later, okay? So whenever you multiply with fractions, the both side of that multiplication, okay, you have to have it in the form of fraction. Like for example, in this case, it was in a form of whole number and a fraction. That's why we converted that whole number into a fraction, which will become 6 over 1 times 2 over 3. The purpose is, we're going to use this method. It's called, very good, you know that, aren't you? Double arrow method. See that? What that double arrow means? See, Robin Hood is the only one that can shoot 2 arrows that will travel parallel and then hit the target. All right? Okay. See, there's 2 arrows, and it's called double arrow. Okay, I'll explain to you what I mean by double arrow method. Okay, so the double arrow method, it's when you multiply, it goes like this. See that? You multiply the numerator and you multiply the denominator. Remember, with the addition and subtraction, we do not mess with the denominator, except we convert that. If it's not a common denominator, we convert that into a common denominator. Once we do that, then we can add or subtract the numerator, and then we carry the denominator across. But with multiplication, it's not that way. With multiplication, you have to have 2 fraction on both side, and then you use a double arrow. What I mean by that, the top one multiply the numerator on this side, multiply with the numerator on this side, and the denominator on this side multiply with the denominator on this side. So that's what the double arrow is about. Okay, it just goes straight. So 6 times 2 is 12. 1 times 3 is 3. Now look at that. 12 over 3, that means pretty much is what? It's an improper fraction. We cannot leave the answer like this, so we have to use the arrow down method. So which means 12 divided by 3. Okay, so 12 divided by 3, which is what? 4. Very good. So that's 4. The answer is 4. So 6 times 2/3, or 2 over 3, is 4. So that's what that is. Okay, all right, keep in mind. Now again, let me re-emphasize. If you have a fraction, a over b times c over d, all right, use the double arrow method. Okay, double arrow method, that means a times c, that becomes ac, b times d becomes bd. See that? That's how you do that. Now one thing I want you to understand is, let's say for example, let's take this problem itself. All right, now we multiplied it right away, we got this, and then we simplified it, we got 4. Now there is another thing that you can do before you apply the double arrow method. What is that? Let's retake that. 6 over 1 times 2 over 3. We want to reduce it or simplify it before we apply the double arrow method. What do I mean by that? Okay, now, well, Mr. Mac, 2 over 3 I cannot simplify, 6 over 1 I cannot simplify, but there's another direction that you need to see if you can simplify, which is this way. The diagonal, 6 and 3, 2 and 1. See that? You're allowed to do that, but never ever try to do horizontal. Okay, horizontal, you cannot use the horizontal, only vertical or diagonal. See that? In other words, we're going to call this upside down 8 or side 8. Okay, let's call that side 8. Side 8. Okay, so that means you can simplify this way, you can simplify this way, or you can simplify this way, you can simplify this way. Actually, it's a, how about we call that a bow method? You see that bow? Like a bow tie? A bow tie method, okay? See that bow tie? That's a good one, isn't it? See that? It looks like a bow tie. Okay, a bow tie method. That's a good one, all right? Okay, we're going to use the bow tie method. See, we can simplify, okay? So we're going to put 6 over 1 times 2 over 3, okay? Now look, again, let me re-emphasize that you cannot simplify horizontally, only vertical or diagonal, okay? In other words, bow method, okay? Bow tie method, all right? So 6 and 3 I can simplify. What is a common number I can divide 6 and 3 with? 3. I can divide this by 3, I can divide this by 3. That makes this one becomes what? 2, and this one becomes 1. So now I use the double arrow method because I cannot simplify anymore. See that? The vertical 2 and 1, 2 and 1, 2 and 1, 2 and 1. I can, but I cannot simplify this way. So now I'm going to apply the double arrow method. 2 times 2 is 4, 1 times 1 is 1, which makes it 4 over 1 is 4, which pretty much give you the same answer. Except on this one, you have to do extra step in simplifying it to get to 4. See that? So let's say, for example, if I were to give you 12 over 15 times, let's say, 25 over 48. All right? And I want to multiply that. I think, and what do you want to do? Well, we don't want to do the double arrow method yet, okay? See that? We got two fractions and multiplying. So we're going to use the double arrow method. Before we apply double arrow method, we're going to use the bow tie method. What is that? Bow tie. So we want to see if we can simplify this way, this way, this way, and that way, but not vertical, all right? So we can see that between, let me rewrite that, 12 over 15 times 25 over 48. Now if I had to use the double arrow method right now, that's a huge number, 12 times 25, and then I'm going to times them out, and then 15 times 48, times them out, and then simplify. It's going to take a lot of work. So the best way to do that is simplify using the bow method before you apply the double arrow method, all right? So look at this. 12 and 48. I can divide this by 12. I can divide this by 12 because 4 times 12 is what? 48. See that? That means I can divide this by 12, divide this by 12. That makes this one 1 and that makes this one 4. Okay? This one, I can divide this by 5 and I can divide this by 5. See that? 15 divided by 5 is 3. 25 divided by 5 is 5. See that? Now look, simple numbers. Now I apply double arrow method. Before that, can I simplify this way or that way? Nope. So this one is 5 and this one is 4. This one is 1 and 3. I cannot. So now I'm going to apply the double arrow method. 1 times 5 is 5. 3 times 4 is 12. That's the answer. See that? Pretty easy, isn't it? That's just so important. You got to apply the bow tie method, okay, before you do the double arrow. Otherwise, can you imagine that? 12 over 15 times 25 over 48, multiplying them. 12 times 25, you got a huge number, and then 15 times 48, you get another huge number, and then you're trying to simplify it to get to that. That's a lot of work. When you simplify it before you use the double arrow method, it makes the problem easier. All right? Our goal is to make easier way to get to the answer. That's what mathematics is all about. You don't want to do the tough way to get to the answer. Even though it'll get to the answer, but you want to take more time. Time is precious. You want to minimize as much as you can so that you can apply this time that you saved on one problem towards another problem. See that? All right, good. Okay, so does that make sense to you? How to use the bow tie method and then use the double arrow method. Okay, so multiplication, always keep in mind double arrow method, all right, after you simplify using the bow method. Okay, let's do another problem. Let's say, for example, if I have 5 times 3 over, let's say, 25. So I got a whole number, okay, a whole number. I'm multiplying with a fraction. Can I do that? No. What I have to do, I have to have both sides to be fraction. So I have to change 5 into a fraction, which would be what? 5 over 1. Now it's a fraction. Okay, so now I'm going to use the bow arrow method. I mean a bow arrow, the bow tie method. Okay, bow tie, bow. Okay, it's B-O-W. It's a bow, the bow tie. Okay, so like this. All right, so I'm going to say 5 and 25. I can simplify. I can divide this by 5. I can divide this by 5. That makes this one to be 1, and makes this one 25 divided by 5 is 5. Okay, make it visual, so that way you know when you're multiplying it, which one you're multiplying it with. Okay, so in this case is 1 and 1, I can do nothing. 3 and 5, I can do nothing. Okay, that means I'm going to use the double arrow method. 1 times 3 is 3, 1 times 5 is 5. There you go, that's the answer. See that? Now you said, well, Mr. Mac, why can't I just use the way without using the bow tie method and just use the double arrow method and find it? You can do that too. It's nothing wrong with that. Now look at that. Let me rewrite that. 5 over 1 times 3 over 25. When I use the double arrow method right away, 5 times 3 is 15. 1 times 25 is 25. See that? Now it's not done because it's not simplified. I can reduce this down further, am I right? By dividing this by 5 and dividing this by 5. So 15 divided by 5 is 3, 25 divided by 5 is 5. See that? Both gives me the same answer. But this one will get to the answer quicker, especially with big one like this. When you simply want a small simple one, yes, it's not a problem. You can do that. But when the numbers get bigger, it's best to use this, alright? Always do this. Use the bow tie method and then double arrow method. Alright? Okay, good. Let Mr. Mac erase the board and talk more about multiplication using fractions. Alright? I'll be back. Alright, my students. What about if I have a whole number with a fraction, another mixed number? Let's say, for example, I got 3 1 over 2 times 1 over, let's say, 5. And I want to do this, okay? So 5, okay? So how do I do that? Can I just simply multiply like this? No, you can't. You still have to have fraction and fraction. You cannot have a mixed number in multiplying with a fraction. So in other words, I have to convert this mixed number into a fraction. From our previous sub lesson that we learned, what do I do to the mixed number? How do I convert that into an improper fraction? Okay, so what method we're going to use to convert a mixed number into improper fraction? The semi-rotation method. Remember that? Semi-rotation method. We multiply and then we add. 2 times 3 is 6. 6 plus 1 is 7. So that makes it 7 over 2 times 1 over 5. Now you get fraction and a fraction. So it's very important with multiplication of the fraction, you gotta have fraction and fraction in between when the multiplication is in the between, alright? You cannot have mixed numbers or whole numbers. Okay, so that's why we converted the mixed number into a fraction. So now I want to see if I can apply the bow tie method, alright? So 7 and 5 I cannot simplify. 1 and 2 I cannot simplify. 7 and 2 I cannot simplify. 1 and 5 I cannot simplify. That means I go to my next step, which is the double arrow method, okay? So I'm going to apply the double arrow method. So 7 times 1 is 7. 2 times 5 is 10. That's the answer. See that? Pretty easy, isn't it? Okay, so you got to convert that mixed number into fraction, which will be an improper fraction. So when you get to this, 7 over 10, which is a proper fraction, so you don't have to worry about it. That's your answer. And you cannot reduce it. See, you don't have to worry about reducing it if you already looked here to simplify using the bow tie method. Because pretty much bow tie is what you're doing. You are reducing it down ahead of time before you multiply to get to the answer. Before you apply the double arrow method to get to the answer. Okay, good. Let's do another one. Let's say if I have 5 3 over 4, okay, and then I'm going to multiply that with, let's say, 1 over 2. This time I got mixed number and a mixed number. So what do? Very good. I convert both of them into improper fraction because they have to be in the form of fraction. Alright? They cannot be in the form of a mixed numbers. Alright? So I'm going to use the semi-rotation method. I'm going to multiply first and then I'm going to add. Semi-rotation method also on this one. Multiply first and then I'm going to add. 4 times 5 is 20. 20 plus 3 is 23. So 23 over 4 times 2 times 1 is 2 plus 1 is 3. 3 over 2. Now see if you can simplify. 23 and 2, I can't. 3 and 4, I can't. So 23 and 4, I can't. Which means I cannot. Okay, 3 over 2, I cannot. So now I apply the double arrow method. So 23 times 3 is outside our timetable. So I'm going to use the long multiplication method. 3 times 3 is 9. 3 times 2 is 6. So that gives me 69. 4 times 2 is 8. Am I done? Definitely not. Why? Because this is in form of improper fraction. The numerator is greater than the denominator. So I'm going to use the arrow down method, okay, and simplify it. So which says 69 divided by 8. Okay, so I'm going to use the long division, which is I'm going to use the cage approach. 69 is kind of into Mr. Mac. I'm going to put it inside the cage. 9 is kind of out. I'll put it outside the cage. So in 69, that's how many 8? Because we tried with 6, 6 is too small. Go to the next digit, 69. 69, that's how many 8? Well, from 8 timetable, what's the closest to 69? 8 times 8 is 64. There you go, see that? Timetable, okay? 8 times 8 is 64, minus 9 minus 4 is 5, 6 minus 6 is 0, okay? So now we're going to express this in a form of mixed number, all right? And this is your whole number, okay? Your whole number, 8, and this is your denominator. See that? And this is going to be your numerator, the balance. So your final answer is 8, 5 over 8. Very important. See that? See, everything that you learned from previous lesson, it's kind of like ganging up on you, okay? No, I shouldn't say the word ganging up on you. It's coming to handy. It's coming to play roles. They are roles, all right? Like for example, changing it into improper fraction and then simplifying it. You know, when you have an improper fraction, how to change it to mixed numbers, things like that. Isn't that fun? That's why mathematics is so important, that you understand from the very beginning, the basic, before you go up. You don't want to jump, because it's going to hurt you. You're going to be struggle, okay? Because it's going to make it mathematics difficult. And mathematics is not difficult. Because it's turned out to be difficult, the process has been broken. You're not doing it in a right process. You need to know each lesson before you go to the next lesson, because everything is built on top of each other. So you got to know your basics before you go to the advanced or intermediate and then advanced. Just like you need to know your timetable before you could do all these problems. I know what you're saying. Well, Mr. Mac, we got a calculator. No. Let me see. Are you holding any calculator in your hand? What did I say? Calculator, if you have in your hand, what are you supposed to do? Not don't throw it, because if it's expensive calculator, your mom and dad's going to be upset. Put it away, okay? Go put it in your drawer away. So because we're not going to use our calculator, okay? So we're going to use our God-given talent, brain, all right? We're going to use that to solve it. That's why I want you to know your timetable, okay? Good. Come back here. Let's do some more problems. Okay, now you understand. When you have two mixed numbers multiplying, okay, what do you have to do? You have to convert both of them into fraction, which will be improper fraction, okay? It doesn't matter. See, that's why I told you the improper fraction will come handy for your work when you do your workings, okay? All right, let's do another one. Let's see, for example, if I have 2, let's say, okay, and then multiplying that with, let's say 6, 3, and then let's say 2. All right, let's do that. That sounds good? Okay, 2 over 5 times 3, 2 over 6. And we're going to multiply that. How do we do that? Good job. Convert that, okay? Change both of those mixed numbers into improper fraction, because when you multiply, you gotta have two fractions multiplying. You cannot have whole number multiplying with a fraction, or mixed number multiplying with a fraction, or fraction multiplying with a whole number, or vice versa. See that? Okay? So I have to convert this into improper fraction using the semi-rotation method. The first part I multiply, the second part I add. Same thing with this one. Multiply and then I add. 5 times 2 is 10. 10 plus 2 is 12. So it will be 12 over 5 times 6 times 3 is 18. 18 plus 2 is 20. 20 over 6. So what's my next step? The bow tie method. So I want to see whether I can simplify this. Alright, I want to simplify this way, or this way. See that? Alright, so let's look. 12 and 6. I can divide this by 6. I can divide this by 6. See that? So that means 6 divided by 6 gives me 1. 12 divided by 6 gives me 2. Look at it this way. 5. I can divide this and I can divide this by 5. That gives this one 1 and that gives this one 4. Now I use the double arrow method. See that? 2 times 4 is 8. 1 times 1 is 1. That's why you got to be very careful when you're dividing and all that. They look so kind of cuddled up, okay? So they kind of, you know, so you got to be careful, okay? So whenever you simplify, make sure you know the numbers. Like for example, 12 divided by 6 is 2, okay? Make sure maybe try to put a circle. That way you know this is the one you simplified, okay? So that way you know 2 times 4 is 8, 1 times 1 is 1. Alright, that's a good habit. Let's do that, okay? That way we know after we simplify, this is what the answer was. So that way you don't mix it up with the 5 and 2 and 6 and all that. Alright, so that gives you 8 over 1, which is what? 8. Pretty easy, isn't it? Okay, good. Now, so I can give all different combinations, but just keep in mind, any combination I give you, okay, let's say for example, I give you 3 over 5 times 3, 1 over, let's say, 5, okay, something like this, okay? Fraction, and this is what? Mixed number. So what I have to do? I have to convert this into fraction. Then I multiply. But of course I simplify first and then I multiply. See that? Okay, so if I were to give you, let's say, 3 over 8 times 4. This time fraction and a round number, a whole number. So what do? I convert this into a fraction, which is 4 over 1, alright? So in this case, I have to convert this into a improper fraction, so it should be 2 over 5 times 5 times 3 is 15. 15 plus 1 is 16. Okay, 16 over 5. Then I see if I can simplify. Okay, so now do I simplify this way? Never, never, never horizontally, only vertical or diagonal. Okay, so since I can't simplify, then I go ahead and multiply. Use the double arrow method. In this case, I put 3 over 8 times 4 over 1. Can I simplify? Yes, I can simplify this. 1 and this one is 2 because 8 divided by 4 is 2. 4 divided by 4 is 1. Can I simplify this way? No. So now I use the double arrow method. So 3 times 1 is 3. 2 times 1 is 2. And this is improper fraction. So I have to use the arrow down method, and then which means 3 divided by 2. Then I use the long division. 3 is kind of into Mr. Mac, I'll put inside the cage. 2 is kind of out from Mr. Mac, I'll put outside the cage. In 3 there's how many? 2? 1. 1 times 2 is 2 minus, give me 1. This is the round number, which is 1. This is the denominator, which is 2. And this is the balance. So that means this is 1 over 2. And that one here, 2 times 16 is 32. Obviously outside our timetable range. Let's bring it here. 2 over 5 times 16 over 5. First, before we use the double arrow multiplication, can I simplify this way? No. Can I simplify this way? No. Can I simplify this way? No. Can I simplify? No. Now when I say no, there is no number to simplify it with it. You can use this approach. It's just that when Mr. Max said, can I simplify it this way? It's yes, but I don't have any number to simplify it, okay? But of course, I cannot simplify this way. Alright, that's no, because remember the bow rule. We're using the bow rule, okay? So now we use the double arrow method. 2 times 16, 16 is outside our timetable, so I'm going to put 2 times 16 along multiplication, okay? 2 times 6 is 12, 2 carry 1, 2 times 1 is 2, plus 1 is 3. So which is 32 over 5 times 5 is 25. Am I done? No. Why is that? Because this is in improper fraction. So I have to use the what method? Down, arrow down method, okay? Really exactly says 32 divided by 25. Okay, use the long division method. That means I'm going to use the cage approach. Okay, I'm going to put the cage. 32 is kind of into Mr. Mac. I'm going to put inside the cage. 25 is kind of out. I'll put outside the cage. In 3 I can't, too small. I go to the next digit. 32. In 32 there's how many 25? 1. 1 times 25, 25. Subtract 2 minus 5, I cannot borrow from 3, 3 becomes 2, 2 becomes 12. 12 minus 5 is, very good, 7. 2 minus 2 is 0. So now I'm going to express that in a form of mixed number. So this is the round number 1, this is the fraction 25, and this is the balance 7. So which is 32 or 25 is 1, 7 over 25. Alright? Pretty easy, isn't it? Okay, good. Now I'm going to erase the board. Let's talk about when you have 3 fractions or 3 mix up with the mixed numbers or whole numbers. How do you do that when you have a 3? Alright? Okay, I'll be back within a few seconds. Alright, my students. Now the key thing with the multiplication, even if you have a 2 fraction you're multiplying or 3 fractions you're multiplying, the thing is they all have to be in a form of fraction. Okay, what do I mean by that? Remember, when you have 2, let's say A over B times C over D, as long as they're in a form of fraction, you can multiply. Alright, now this time we're going to have E over F, so we're going to have 3 fractions multiplying. So the key is they all have to be in the form of fraction. What do I mean by that? That means, I'd say, for example, 3 over 5 times 2 over 4 times 1 over 3. See that? They're all in a form of fraction. If I had to give you non-fraction, in other words, mixed numbers or round whole numbers, then what do? Then I convert them into fraction. So that's the thing. So in other words, let's say, for example, if I give you 2 times 1 over 2 times 3 over 4. See that this is in a form of whole number, and this in a form of mixed number, and this one is in a form of fraction. So this one is good. Only this 2 is the one I have to convert them into fraction. So, which I put it down, this 2 over 1 times, this one is a mixed number, we convert that into improper fraction. We use the semi-rotation method. Multiply the first part of it, we add the second part of it. So 2 times 1 is 2 plus 1 is 3. So that makes it 3 over 2 times 3 over 4. See that? Now you got fraction, fraction, fraction. That's it. But of course, what I mean is that's it means that's it. That means you know how to multiply the fraction. Okay? So we use that pairing method. Very important. Solve this 2 first. Okay? Solve this 2 first and then multiply that. Alright? So we're going to take 2 over 1 times 3 over 2. Can I simplify? Yes. 1 and 1. So double arrow method. Okay? So 1 times 3 is 3. 1 times 1 is 1. So now I already completed this 2 and then take 3 over 4. I multiply 3 over 1 times with 3 over 4. I use the bow tie method. Can I simplify this way, and this way, and this way? None of them can be simplified. Okay? Then I apply the double arrow method. 3 times 3 is 9. 1 times 4 is 4. And do I leave the answer like this? No. Why? Because it's an improper fraction. Okay? So I have to use the arrow down method. So that means 9 divided by 4. That's what that translates into. So I use the cage approach, which means long division. 9 is kind of into Mr. Mac. I'm going to put it inside the cage. 4 is kind of out. I'll put outside the cage. In 9, there's how many 4? 2. 2 times 4 is 8. 9 minus 8 is 1. That's it. Okay? Now I translate that into a mixed fraction. So that is my round, my whole number, and this is my denominator, and that would be my balance, which is the numerator. Okay, the remainder. Okay, this is the remainder, the 1 will be the numerator. So that means 9 over 4 is equals to 2 1 over 4. Okay, pretty easy, isn't it? So that's the thing. All right, so I can give you all different type of combination, but once you understand the principle, the key thing, nothing is difficult. Everything is just easy, very straightforward. Okay, the key thing is what? They have to be in a form of fraction in order for you to multiply. All right, if I give you round number, whole number, or mixed numbers, doesn't matter. Don't let that intimidate you. Okay, I can give you a problem like this: 3 2 over 5 times 6 1 over 2 times 4 2 over 3. Is that going to intimidate you? No, it shouldn't. Why? Look at it. It's an easy problem. Why is easy? Mixed number, mixed number, mixed number. Just change it to fraction, 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 improper fraction, improper fraction, improper fraction. That's it. It comes to the 3 fractions. And you can multiply by using the pairing method. See that? Let's do that. The first one, we're going to use the semi-rotation method. 5 times 3 is 15. 15 times 2 is 17 over 5. Times 2 times 6 is 12. Plus 1 is 13. 13 over 2. Times 3 times 4 is 12. 12 plus 2 is 14. 14 over 3. See? Fraction, fraction, fraction. I know. So now what do? Use the pairing. You multiply this 2 first and then you multiply with that. That's it. Okay? So we take 17 over 5 times 13 over 2. See if you can simplify. 17 and 2 you can. 13 and 5 you cannot. 17 and 5 you cannot simplify. 13 and 2 you cannot simplify. That means I just go ahead and use the double arrow method. Okay? So 17 times 13. Okay? So we're going to take 17 times 13. 3 times 7 is 21. 1, 2. 3 times 1 is 3. Plus 2 is 5. 1 times 7 is 7. 1 times 1 is 1. So 1. 5 plus 7 is 12. Carry 1. And then 1 plus 1 is 2. So that gives me 221 over 5 times 2 is 10. And that's an improper fraction. I simplify. Before I don't simplify yet, because we need to multiply that with 14 over 3. See that? So then I take 221 over 10 times 14 over 3. And then you see if you can simplify. This is just a wild number I just can't throw to you, just to show to you, make it look like, is this something intimidating you? But it's not. Look at that. Okay? Does that make sense? Always the key thing is changing them all into fraction, fraction, fraction. I can give you 6. Doesn't matter. Change all of them into fraction. Make sure all in the form of fraction, fraction, fraction. 6 of them. Pair, pair, pair. Pair them and multiply them. Pair them. Multiply them. Pair them. Multiply them. Until we come to the one final answer. See that? Isn't that fun? I told you. Alright, Mr. Max going to erase the board and we'll do some hands-on practice. Okay? And I'll be back with you in a few seconds. Alright, my dear students. Are you ready for some hands-on practice? Alright, let's call Pablo, okay? Alright, he's been busy doing some quizzes. I mean the hands-on practice. Let's see, he's ready. Pablo, come on over. Come on, Pablo, come on over. Here he is. Alright, look like he got the worksheet with him. Alright, Pablo's going to hand over to you and have fun, my dear students, okay? Go ahead, pause the video and take it as much time you want, okay? I'll be standing here waiting for you. And then just come back and invite Mr. Mac in and we'll work together and we'll compare the notes, alright? Okay, here it is. Alright, have fun. Alright, there are 10 questions he gave you, alright? Thank you, Pablo. I know he challenged us and he said he dared you, alright? Okay, good. Now let's look at all the 10 questions that he gave us. The first one. Now, the first one he gave in a form of word problem. Doesn't matter, I'll explain to you. The reason is, the word problem is just the first one, just like the second one. It's just setting them up in a form of the second one, alright? Let's read it. Now, whenever you're dealing with word problems, okay, the way to solve them is read the question and try to understand what's been given and what they're looking for, okay? So let's do that. Let's read it. In a classroom, there are 45 students. 2 over 5 or 2/5 of the students are boys, okay? So that means 45 is a whole, okay, like a one pizza. The 2/5 of that 45, all right, are boys. How many boys are there in the classroom? So if I had to set that up, it would be 2 over 5 times 45, right there. That's how it is. Okay, pretty much right there. And then what do we do? Can we multiply? No, not yet, because we have to have both to be in a form of fraction, and this one is in a whole number and this one in a form of fraction. So that means I change this into a fraction, which will be 45 over 1. That's right. Then now I can multiply. But before I do that, can I simplify using the bow tie method? Okay, so 2 and 1 I can. 45 and 5, yes, I can divide this by 5. I can divide this by 5. That gives this one 1, and that gives me this one 9. So now I can use the double arrow method. 2 times 9 is 18. 1 times 1 is 1. So that means there are 18 boys in that classroom. Okay, the 2/5 of the 45 is 18. So there are 18 boys, alright? So your answer should be 18 boys. That should be your answer. Okay, let's look at problem number 2. So this time I pretty much gave you the problem in the form of fraction and a round and a whole number, okay? So can I multiply this? Not yet. So I have to make this into a fraction. 21 over 1. Now I simplify first before I use the double arrow method. 7 and 21 I can simplify because I can divide this by 7. I can divide this by 7. So that gives me this one 1, and that gives me this one 3. And 4 and 1 I can't. 4 and 1 and 3 and 1 I can't. Can I simplify this way? Definitely no. Alright, never horizontal, only vertical, diagonal. Okay, so we're going to use the double arrow method. 4 times 3 is 12. 1 times 1 is 1, which makes it 12. Okay, good. You got it? Good job. I'm proud of you. Very proud of you. Let's look problem number 3. Problem number 3. Now this time I kind of put this way, put the 15 this side and the fraction on the other side. Does it make any difference? No. It just, I put the 15 this side, the whole number. Like for example, earlier the whole number was this side, the fraction this side. This time I put the fraction this side and the whole number this side. I just flipped it. Doesn't matter, alright? The key is what? They both has to be in a form of fraction. That means I have to make this into a fraction. Okay, now I can see if I simplify 15 and 3, yes, I can simplify. I can divide this by 3, I can divide this by 3. That makes this one 1, that makes this one 5. Okay, now I can see if I can simplify this, no, then I use the double arrow method. 5 times 2 is 10, 1 times 1 is 1, which makes this one to be 10. Alright, okay, good. Okay, problem number 4. So problem number 4, you're given 3 over 5 times 2 over 4. See that? And both are in a form of fraction. Okay, so before we use the double arrow method, what method we're going to use? The bow tie method. Alright, so we're going to see if we can simplify this way, no, this way, no, and what's another way will be? Vertical. Okay, not horizontal, vertical. 3 and 5, 2 and 4, yes. I can divide this by 2, I can divide this by 2. That makes this one 1 and that makes this one 2. Okay, now I use the double arrow method. 3 times 1 is 3, 5 times 2 is 10. There you go, and that's the final answer. 3 over 10. Alright? Okay, problem number 5. Okay, problem number 5 is 16 over 18 times 3 over 4. And they both are in a form of fraction. Okay, good. That means I can multiply. But before I do that, look at that. Big numbers. I want to see whether I can reduce it, simplify using the bow tie method. 16 and 4, and then 3 and 18, or 16 and 18, 3 and 4. I can see that way, alright? So look like these two are much easier if I go this way, because I can divide this by 4, divide this by 4. That gives me this one 1, and that gives me this one 4. Okay, this two will be easier if I divide this by 3, divide this by 3. Gives me this one 1, and give me this one, what is it? 6. Very good, 6. Okay, now can I simplify any further? Yes, look at that, 4 and 6. See that? You can keep reducing until you come to the lowest, 2 and 3. See that? Because 4 can divide by 2, 6 can be divided by 2. That's why 4 divided by 2 gives me 2, 6 divided by 2 gives me 3. Now I use the double arrow method. 2 times 1 is 2, 3 times 1 is 3. So my final answer is 2 over 3. Isn't that fun? It's kind of like a puzzle. You're kind of like playing games with it. It is pretty much. That's what it's mathematics all about. It's just, you got to make it fun. It is fun. Look at it as something that it's fun. Don't look at it as something it's difficult, it's going to be tough. No, once you do that, it's going to affect your thinking. Once you look at it and say it's going to be easy and I know how to do it, and it's going to be easy, and you know how it's going to be easy, and you will know how to do it as well. Okay, good. Okay, let's look problem number 6. Problem number 6, we've been given 3 over 7 times 1/3/4. You got fraction and a mixed number. That means we cannot multiply yet. But what we have to do? We convert which one? The mixed number into improper fraction. Okay, so we're going to use the semi-rotation method. So multiply first, add next. 4 times 1 is 4, plus 3 is 7. So that makes it 7/4 times with 3/7. Can I simplify before I multiply? Exactly, look at that, 7 and 7 staring at us saying, hey, I can be reduced down by dividing it by 7. So this one becomes 1 and this one becomes 1. Now I use the double arrow method. 3 times 1 is 3, 1 times 4 is 4. So that makes it 3/4. See that? Okay, good. All right, let's look problem number that's 6. Let's look problem number 7. So problem number 7, you're given 2. Well, how about I do this? Let Mr. Mac erase the board so we got more room to work on. Give me a few seconds, I'll be back. All right, good. You got a lot of space now. Okay, problem number 7. Problem number 7, we've been given 2/5 times 3/6. We shouldn't be doing that because it's an easy problem. Even though they both has mixed numbers, what we have to do? Change them to a fraction. All right, because we cannot multiply like this. We have to make them into a fraction, which would be improper fraction because we got mixed numbers. So we use the semi-rotation method for both of them. Okay, the first half. Okay, so for the first part of the rotation, we multiply. The second part, we add. Multiply, we add. 5 times 2 is 10, plus 2 is 12. 12/5 times 6 times 3 is 18. 18 plus 2 is 20. 20/6. See, now they're in a form of fraction. Okay, so we're going to use the bow tie method. All right, but that means we're going to simplify. 12 and 6 can be simplified. 20 and 5 can be simplified. Okay, I can divide this by 6. I can divide this by 6. Gives me this one 1. Gives me this one 2. 12 divided by 6 is 2. See that? I'm kind of moving fast, those kind of things, because those are simple numbers from our timetable, and you should able to know that. All right, that's why I'm going fast. You are in Form 1 and you shouldn't be struggling with your timetable. No, you should have your timetable in your fingertips by now. You should be, if to Mr. Mac to ask you any, if Mr. Mac to ask you any one of the timetable, you should be just quick enough to tell me. All right, that's how good you should be by now. All right, okay, good. So that's why I'm kind of moving fast. This one, we can divide this by 5, divide this by 5. So what this one will becomes 1, and what this one will becomes 4. Good job. I heard that. You are quick. 20 divided by 5 is 4. 5 divided by 5 is 1. Very good. Okay, good job. All right. Then what do? We simplify. Can we see there's a 2 and 4? Can I simplify this way? No way, Mr. Mac, because that is the horizontal. You can't do horizontal. Only vertical and diagonal. All right, which is the bow style. The bow. All right, the bow. Okay. So that means we're going to use the double arrow method. 2 times 4 is 8. 1 times 1 is 1, which makes it 8. See that? After you simplify, it makes the number easier to multiply. That's the key. That's the key of doing this. So it'll be easier for you to multiply out to get to the answer. It'll be a lot quicker. Okay? Good. Let's look problem number 8. Problem number 8, we got 3/7 times 14/21 times 1/4. So we got 3 fractions multiplying. Would it be a difficult problem to do? It's not. Because why? We're going to use the pairing method. We're going to pair this up, solve it, and then we're going to pair with that one. Now you can pick any combination. Alright? Always find the one that you can simplify and pair them up. Alright, in this case, this two will be good to pair them up because 7 and 14 I can simplify, 3 and 21 I can simplify. See that? So that's why always pair them up. If you think these two can be pair them up, you can do that. You can start with this and then multiply with that. When multiplication, you can rearrange. Okay, what I mean by that, let's say for example, I give you 3 over 4 times 1 over 5 times, let's say, 8 over 12. Look at this. So, if rather than me pairing up this two, it'd be better if I pair this two first, multiply, and then I multiply with this one. Okay, so that means I rewrite that 3 over 4 times 8 over 12 times 1 over 5. You can do that. So now I can pair this two first. That means I can simplify 3 over 4 with 8 over 12 much easier. See, 4 and 8, I can divide this by 4, I can divide this by 4. Gives me this one 1, gives me this one 2. I can divide this by 3, I can divide this by 3. Gives me this one 1, gives me this one 4. And then I can divide this by 2 and divide this by 2. See that? Gives me this one 1 and give me this one 2. See that? Now I can use the double arrow method. 1 times 1 is 1, 1 times 2 is 2. Then I multiply with 1 over 5. So I take 1 over 2 times 1 over 5. Use the double arrow method because I cannot simplify. So 1 times 1 is 1, 2 times 5 is 10. See that? Pretty easy, isn't it? That's the thing about mathematics, okay? You don't want to make it difficult. Look for an easy way of solving it. I can multiply this first and then multiply with that. Alright? When it's multiplication, you can rearrange it. Alright? The same thing with addition. You can rearrange it to add them accordingly. Alright? So keep in mind. Okay, good. Now, you got to be very careful with subtraction. Don't do that, alright? Because if you mess it up the negative, when you move it around, your problem will become messed, alright? Mess, in a big mess. And same thing with division. Never ever rearrange division and subtraction. Always do it the way it's given. Multiplication and addition. All multiplication, all addition, you can rearrange it. Okay? So, now later we're going to talk about mix operation. Never ever rearrange a mixed operation. Leave it the way it's given and solve it accordingly. We're going to talk about that, alright? So I'm just giving you a heads up on that. Okay, good. So let's get back to here, okay? So we're going to multiply this two first because I can simplify easier. So I'm going to bring 3 over 7 times 14 over 21. I'm going to divide this by 7, divide this by 7. Gives me 14 divided by 7, 2. 7 divided by 7, 1. 3 and 21. I can divide this by 3. I can divide this by 3. 3 divided by 3 is 1. 21 divided by 3 is 7. Can I simplify this way? I can, but it's not simplifiable. Okay, 1 and 1 pretty much same. Okay, so I'm going to use the double arrow. 1 times 2 is 2. 1 times 7 is 7. And that's my final answer. And I know you got the same answer as 2 over 7, which is awesome. That makes you Mr. Next Student. And you are very special. And you're the best. Why? Because you belong to Score A Math Victory. You are working hard. You want to learn. And that's why you're here. And you should be so proud of you. And you should give yourself a nice pat. Because why? You want to learn. You want to enrich yourself with knowledge, understanding mathematics. That shows you're working hard. And you want to study about mathematics. And you want to do well in school, in mathematics in overall, and also in life. And that's why Mr. Mac is here. Because I know you deserve the best. And I want to bring the best for you. Okay? Alright, come on over. Let's get to problem number 9. Okay, problem number 9. You're given 2, 1 over 4 times 3, 1 over 3 times 4. See that? You got 2 mixed numbers and 1 round whole numbers. Okay? So what do I do? Change them into, change them into fractions. All of them into fractions. I'm going to erase that board. Okay? Give me a few seconds. I'll be back with you. Alright, my dear students, so now we got some rooms there, okay? So what are we going to do? We're going to convert all this into fractions. In this case, we're going to use the semi-rotation method, okay? Semi-rotation method, and this one also semi-rotation method. But this one, a whole number, just put over 1. See that? Okay, so we're going to multiply first and then add. Multiply first, then we're going to add. Okay, so we're going to use the rotation method. Okay, so 4 times 2 is 8. 8 plus 1 is 9. Okay, so we're going to put 9 over 4. We're going to maintain the denominator. Very important. Do not change the denominator. Denominator, you carry down. Okay, so we're going to multiply that with this one. 3 times 3 is 9 plus 1 is 10. So 10 over 3. Again, maintain the denominator. Now this one, we already changed it into fraction. So we're just going to rewrite 4 over 1. So we got 3 fractions multiplying. We're going to use a pairing method. Okay. So we're going to pair this 2 and then we're going to multiply with that one. Alright. So 9 over 4 times 10 over 3. 9 and 3 can be divided by 3. See that? This one can be simplified. And same thing with 4 and 10. This one can be divided by 2. This one can be divided by 2. So that makes 9 divided by 3 is 3. 10 divided by 2 is 5. 3 divided by 3 is 1. 4 divided by 2 is 2. See that? Now see this way. Can I simplify this way? No. That means I'm going to use the double arrow method and multiply. 3 times 5 is 15. 2 times 1 is 2. Now I only completed this one. Now do not change it yet because we want to multiply with another fraction, which is 4 over 1. After you complete it and then simplify or change it to the proper form, alright? Like right now you got it as a 15 over 2, which is an improper fraction, but you don't change it yet because you still have to multiply with 4 over 1. Maintain the fraction, okay? So 15 and 1 I can simplify, but 2 and 4 I can. I can divide this by 2, I can divide this by 2. That makes this one 1 and that makes this one 2. So double arrow method. 15 times 2 is 30. 1 times 1 is 1. So that makes it 30 should be your final answer, which is, you got it as well. Okay, good. Alright, now let's go to problem number 10. Problem number 10. Alright, let's look at problem number 10. So we got 1 over 2 times 1 over 6 times 1 over 4. Good job, I like that. Mr. Mac, that's an easy problem. You are right, it is an easy problem. Mixed number, mixed number, mixed number, we change it to fraction, fraction, fraction. That's it. And then we multiply by using the pairing method, use the bow tie method to simplify it, and then we multiply them out with the double arrow method, and we got the answer. Okay, good, let's do that. Alright, so first convert all of them into fractions. So we're going to use the semi-rotation method. Okay, semi-rotation method, very important. Okay, semi-rotation, we multiply first and then we add. Multiply first, we add. Multiply first, we add. Alright, keep in mind, multiplication comes first and then addition. Alright, okay, so 2 times 1 is 2 plus 1 is 3. So 3 over 2 times 6 times 1 is 6 plus 1 is 7. 7 over 6 times 4 times 1 is 4 plus 1 is 5. So 5 over 4. So now see if there's a combination that will make it easier to simplify. This will be the best pair. Okay, so this will be the best pair because 3 and 6 can be simplified, and then we're going to pair with that one. Okay, let's start with 3 over 2 times 7 over 6. I can divide the 3 with 3, I can divide 6 with 3. That makes this one 1 and that makes this one 2. Can I simplify anymore? No, I can't. So I use the double arrow method. So we use the double arrow method. 1 times 7 is 7. 2 times 2 is 4. See that? So we got 7 over 4 from this pair. Okay? Now we're going to take that, multiply with the 5 over 4. So we're going to take 7 over 4. We're going to multiply that with 5 over 4. Can I simplify? No. So that means I'm going to go ahead and use the double arrow method. 7 times 5 is 35. 4 times 4 is 16. Am I done? No. Why? Because it's an improper fraction. That means what are you going to do? We're going to use the arrow down method. Okay? So we're going to use the arrow down method. So let's take it over here. So that means 35, divide that by 16. Because 35 divide 16. Okay, so that means we're going to use the long division method. So we're going to use the cage approach. 35 is kind of into Mr. Mac, I'm going to put inside the cage. 16 kind of out, I'll put outside the cage. We start with the first digit 3, we can go to the next one, make it 35. 35, how many 16? 2, because 2 times 6 is 12, I carry 1, 2 times 2 is 1, 2 plus 1 is 3, which is 2 times 16 is 32. Okay, so I'm going to subtract. 5 minus 2 is 3. 3 minus 3 is 0. So that's the balance, alright? So now what do I do? This is the round number. Okay, so that means this is 2 is the round number. The denominator is 16 and the balance is 3 right there. Okay, so keep in mind this 16 carries on. Alright, that should tell you that's the 16, that's the denominator. And this remainder or the balance after when you come to the end, that should be your numerator. Okay, keep in mind. Alright, pretty straightforward. Okay, good. Alright, now what Mr. Mac did was I kind of broke up the multiplication and division into 2 parts. They're all in one sub-lesson. So you're not going to have a quiz yet. So we're going to go to the what do you call division. Okay, so Mr. Mac's going to erase this. So we're going to start talking about division. Once you're done with the division, we'll have a hands-on practice on that. Then you're going to have a quiz on multiplication and the division of the fraction. Okay, good. So well done. Good job, my dear students, that you did a great job on this hands-on practice on multiplication. And are you ready for division? Alright, good, because it's going to be a lot fun. It's going to be very, very fun. Okay, good. Give me Mr. Mac a few seconds. I'm going to erase the board and I'll be back and we'll have fun. Okay? Alright, my dear students, are you ready for division? Okay, good. Now keep in mind, in division, what it is like, for example, when I take a pizza, a one-whole pizza, and I told you to divide that into 6 parts. So that's pretty much, I'm dividing, I'm breaking it out. So that each part becomes 1/6. See that? So let's take that for example. If I take a pizza, alright, I told you I'm going to divide that pizza into 6 parts, alright? So, see that? That's 6 parts right there, okay? All are equal size, alright? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now each represent what? 1/6. Okay, so that gives you 1/6. Okay, all right, which means 1 divided by 6. That one whole pizza, I divided that into 6 parts. So each part represent 1/6. So one pizza divided into 6 parts equals to 1/6. So look at this. If I just you say right arrow method. Look at that. 1 divided by 6, which is the division, is the line right there. Say 1 divide 6. So we're going to reverse the arrow down method. Right arrow method is the reverse of the arrow down method. Okay, keep in mind. So in other words, for example, if I give you 3 divided by 4 and I ask you to express this in the form of fraction, so we're going to use the right arrow method. Read exactly. It says 3, the division is over 4. See that? That's it. Pretty easy, isn't it? Okay, so let's do another one. So if I have 5 divided by 8, what method am I going to use? Exactly, the right arrow method. Read exactly. It says 5, the division is going to be over 8. See that? 5, division is going to be over 8. If I had to go reverse, let's say I got 5/8, I use the arrow down method. 5, this is going to be a division 8. See that? Same. Vice versa. Okay, the right arrow method converts that into fraction. The arrow down method converts the fraction into division form. Okay, good. So keep in mind. Alright, now we're going to talk about dividing. When you have 2 fractions dividing, again, very important. Now the thing is, keep in mind, addition and subtraction, they're kins. The siblings, I should say the siblings, alright? So the siblings, like means brother and sister, or sister, brother, or brother and brother, thing like that. So that means they're not identical, but they are related in the same family. So they use the same principle, the rules apply to them identical, okay? Like for example, what is that? For addition and subtraction, they have their own personality. Addition adds, subtraction subtracts. See that? But the principle is what? The denominator has to be common, has to be same in order to subtract or add. See that? Now, with multiplication and division, they are siblings, all right? They have their own principle. So they're not same to addition or subtraction, they have their own. Okay, the principle for division and multiplication is they both has to be in a form of fraction in order to multiply or divide. Okay, so you gotta have it in a form of fraction. If I give you in a form of mixed numbers or round numbers, you have to convert them into fractions before you can perform multiplication like you saw in earlier, and in division as well. Okay, so let's say for example, if I give you 3/4 divided by 2, in order to perform this, I have to change this round number into fraction, which is what? Over 1. That's it. Okay, with multiplication we use the double arrow method, all right, but this is division. So how do we do that? The principle is, the steps that you want to remember is, for division is, you want to convert that division to multiplication first. That's it. How do I convert that? We're going to use the door knob method. Okay, this is a door knob. See that? Okay, when I turn this, see that? It turns, all right? Okay, that's what we're going to do. We're going to turn. This is going to be a door knob, all right? So we're going to turn this to become multiplication. So when I turn, what happened to this one? This one also turns. It turns and becomes reciprocal, which means turns around like this. So kind of doorknob. See that? When I turn, I'm converting the division to multiplication. So when I turn, this one also turns. See that? It goes like this. See? When the doorknobs are like that. Okay, this is where you have the key. When you turn, what happens? This whole thing turns. This one also turns. See that? The division, kind of like this, turns around, becomes multiplication. Okay? Multiplication. This one turns into 1/2. 3/4, not affected. Stay the way it is. 3/4. Okay? Keep in mind. So now you're back to the multiplication problem. So now you got 3/4 times 1/2. So can I simplify using the bow tie method? No, I can't. Okay, so I cannot simplify this way or this way or this way, but never ever try to simplify this way. So I cannot, so I'm going to use the double arrow method. 3 times 1 is 3, 4 times 2 is 8. So that's the answer. So 3/4 divided by 2/1 is 3/8. Okay, let's do more. Okay, let's say for example, so I give you, let's say 5/6 divided by, let's say 8. So division, okay, make sure you can see the division, all right? All right, so the 8 is in a form of what? A whole number, okay? Our key is what? Just like the multiplication, they both are siblings, okay, kins. So they have to have both fraction in order to solve this problem. So I'm going to make this over 1. Did I change the problem? No. 8/1 is still 8. But I expressed that in a form of fraction in order to perform the division problem. Okay? So now I'm going to convert the division to multiplication. And we're going to use the doorknob method. Okay? So we're going to turn the division to become what? Multiplication. So division becomes multiplication. When I turn, 8 also turns. It becomes 1/8. So that one flip over, it becomes 1/8. I'm just going to bring the 5/6 down. I'm not going to change that. Now I want to see if I can use the bow tie method to simplify. I can't. Then I use the double arrow method. 5 times 1 is 5. 8 times 6 is 48. Very good. 48. Okay. Good job. That's the answer. See that? Pretty easy, isn't it? Okay, so the key is you must change the whole number into fraction, change the division to multiplication using the doorknob approach. This flips over After this one becomes multiplication, and then the rest is what you learn from multiplication. You just apply that principle. Okay, so now if I were to give you a fraction divided by fraction, same thing. In this case, you're just converting the round number, the whole number, into fraction. In this case, I just give you directly. Okay, so let's say, for example, I give you 9/16. What do? They both are fractions, so it should be good. Now I can apply the doorknob approach. I'm going to turn the division into multiplication. When I turn that, 9/16 also turn becomes 16/9. Very important. Okay, 16 comes up, 9 becomes down. All right, they turn, and then this one stay the same. Stay the same, doesn't change anything, just bring it down. Okay, now see if you can simplify. I can. 3 and 3, I can divide this by 3, I can divide this by 3. I can divide this by 4, I can divide this by 4. So that makes this one 1, that makes this one 3, that makes this one 4, that makes this one 1. Because 16 divided by 4 is 4. 4 divided by 4 is 1. So can I simplify like this? No, that means I use the double arrow method. 1 times 4 is 4, 1 times 3 is 3. Now, am I going to leave the answer like this? No, because why? Improper fraction. Use the arrow down method. So I read it exactly. It says 4 divided by 3, and I use the cage approach. The 4 is kind of into Mr. Mac. I'm going to put it inside the cage. 3 is kind of out. I'll put outside the cage. In 4, there's how many? 3. 1. 1 times 3 is 3. Minus 4 minus 3 is 1. That's my remainder. Okay. So that means this is the round or the whole number 1. That is my fraction, which is 3 right there. See that? And that's my remainder. So 1/3. That's my final answer for this. Okay, pretty easy, isn't it? Very straightforward. Okay, if I give you a fraction and a fraction divide, this is how you do it. See the step? Just remember the step. Understand the principle, the step. What is the step? Once you remember that, you will never make a mistake. Just apply that step. Okay, so now let's say, for example, if I were to give you, let's say, a round mixed number, let's say 2/2 divided by 3/4. Oh, no, I know I kind of repeating the same thing, 3/4. Doesn't matter, any fraction. Okay, so how do I do this? Exactly, I have to convert this into fraction. Fraction divided by fraction. Okay, you cannot have mixed number divided by fraction in order to perform. So I have to use the semi-rotation method, multiply and plus. 2 times 2 is 4, plus 1 is 5. So it becomes 5/2 divided by 3/4. And then what do? The doorknob approach. Okay, so I'm going to turn. Okay, so I'm just going to turn. So that means I'm going to turn the division into multiplication. That means the 3/4 becomes 4/3. And I'm just going to bring the 5/2 down. Before I multiply, what do? Simplify between 2 and 4. I can divide this by 2. I can divide this by 2. That makes it this one 1 and this one 2. Okay, so that means there's no more I can simplify. I use the double arrow method. 5 times 2 is 10. 1 times 3 is 3. Okay, do I leave the answer like that? No, because why? This is the improper fraction. Okay, I use the arrow down. So I use the arrow down method. Okay, which means 10 divided by 3. So I use the cage approach. 10 is kind of into Mr. Mac. I put inside. 3 is kind of out. I put outside. In 10, there's how many? 3. 3. 3 times 3 is 9. 10 minus 9 is 1. That's the remainder. So the whole number is 3. So I'm going to say this is 3. And the division, that's 3 is the denominator right there. Okay, and 1 is the remainder. So that makes it 3/1/3. Okay, good. All right, let Mr. Mac erase the board and let's do more problems. Understand all different, scenarios of the fractions. And this time we're going to see how we have mixed numbers and mixed numbers dividing. What do we do? When you have 3 fractions dividing, what do you do? Those kind of thing. Okay, I'll be back with you in a few seconds. All right, my dear students, let's say for example when we have mixed number divided by mixed number, okay? So let's say if I have a 2, 1 over 3 divided by 4, 1 over 2. So how do we do that? Okay, the key is what? Exactly, both has to be in a form of fraction, okay? So this will be improper fraction because it's a mixed number. So we're going to convert this into improper fraction. So we're going to use the semi-rotation method for both of them. Multiply first and then add. Multiply first and then we're going to add. 3 times 2 is 6 plus 1 is 7. So 7 over 3 divided by 2 times 4 is 8 plus 1 is 9. 9 over 2. Okay, so what's our first step after we done that? The next step would be make the division into multiplication. So we're going to use a doorknob method. We're going to turn the division into multiplication. When I turn that, this also flips. This becomes 2 over 9. 2 over 9. Okay, and this one stays the same, 7 over 3. Now can you see if you can simplify? Okay, look at that. 3 and 9. Can we simplify that way? No, Mr. Mac. You cannot simplify horizontally. Only vertical and diagonal. Okay, good. Because the bow tie method. Okay, so we cannot simplify. So we're going to use the double arrow method. 7 times 2 is 14. 3 times 9 is 27. Okay, so that's it right there. That should be your final answer. So the key is what? Make sure these are converted into fractions and then change the division to multiplication. Make sure this one flips. Make sure it rotates, alright? Because you're using the doorknob method, alright? When you turn this division to multiplication, 9 over 2 becomes 2 over 9. Okay? And then see if you can use the bow tie method to simplify. If you can. If you cannot, then use the double arrow method and multiply and get to the answer. Alright? Okay, good. Now let's look at it when you have 3 fractions dividing. Okay, so let's say for example I have a 4 over 5 divided by 1 over 2 divided by 3 over 7. So what do? In this case, can I rearrange them? No, you cannot rearrange them. You got to keep it the way it's given. You pair them up this way. First 2 and then with the third one. Alright, you cannot do this first and then that one. No, 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 no. This has to come first. You got to use the left to right method. Left to right method. Okay, the very first divided by that. What the answer going to be? After you get the answer, you divide that by that. Okay, let's do that together. Okay, take these two apart. So you got 4 over 5 divided by 1 over 2. So we're going to use the doorknob method. Okay, so we're going to turn the division into multiplication and this one flips over, becomes 2 over 1 and we're going to keep the 4 over 5 the same. Can I simplify? No. So I'm going to use the double arrow method and multiply. 4 times 2 is 8. 5 times 1 is 5. Okay, now I know this is an improper fraction. Do I go simplify, change it? Not yet, because we're going to divide with this first. Don't keep it as a fraction. Okay, so now you take that 8 over 5 and divide that with 3 over 7. Now apply the doorknob method on this one. Change division to multiplication. This one flips. 7 over 3. This one stays the same. 8 over 5. Then use the bow tie method. See if you can simplify. No, you can't. Just then use the double arrow method to times it. 8 times 7 is 56. Very good. 56. 5 times 3 is 15. And now look at that answer. It's not quite answer yet. Why? Because it's an improper fraction. Okay, so we're going to use the arrow down method and simplify it and make it and put it in a form of mixed number. So it says 15 over 56 over 15. So it says 56 over 15, which means 56 divided by 15. Okay, that's what that is translate to when you use the arrow down method. And then we're going to use the long division, which is the cage approach. 56 kind of into Mr. Mac, I'm going to put it inside the cage, and 15 kind of out, I'm going to put outside the cage. In 56, there's how many 15? All right, now this is something big number which is outside our timetable range. You can use the trial and error method, okay? So you know that 15 times 2, doubling 15 will make it 30. So look like 3 sounds good. So what you do is come take the side and times it with 3. 5 times 3 is 15, carry 1, put 5 there, 3 times 1 is 3, plus 1 is 4, 45. Still falling between the 56, that means 3 works. So we're going to put 3. 3 times 5 is 15, 5, carry 1, 3 times 1 is 3, plus 1 is 4. See that? 6 minus 5 is 1, 5 minus 4 is 1. So that's my remainder. So now, that's the round number or the whole number, and the denominator, which is also 15, okay, and the remainder is the 11. So 311 over 15. That's my final answer for that problem right there. So it's very important, pairing up, but be careful, left to right method. That means you have to pair with this 2, and then you finish it. Okay, with multiplication we kind of move around. Yes, you can do that, but not on division. All right, not on division. Okay, good. All right. Okay, now let's look at another problem. Okay, this time Mr. Max is going to give you see, this one all in the form of fraction. So now let's say, for example, if I give you a problem that has a mixed number, okay, mixed number, say 2 over 5 divided by 1 over 3, okay, so then divide that by 4. See that? So I got mixed number, fraction, and a round number, a whole number. That should that intimidate you? No way, not with Mr. Max, student, because you know what to do. What do? You change them, all 3 of them, into fraction. Okay, so the first one we're going to make it into improper. So we're going to use the semi-rotation method. We're going to multiply and then we're going to add. 5 times 2 is 10, plus 2 is 12. 12 over 5 divided by 1 over 3, because this is already in the form of fraction. Divide this by 4 over 1. Very good. Now all 3 of them in a form of fraction. Very important. Okay, now what's our next step? We're going to do the pairing method. We're going to pair this one and divide it first, and then we're going to pair with that one and divide it. Okay, so let's start with this one. Let's take that one apart. 12 over 5 divided by 1 over 3, and we're going to use the rotation, the doorknob method. We're going to turn that division into multiplication. Okay, so what happened to the 1 over 3? Becomes 3 over 1. Now see if you can simplify. 12 and 1, no. 5 and 3, no. 12 and 5, no. 3 and 1, no. Then I'm going to use the double arrow method and multiply them out. So that gives me 12 times 3 is 36. 5 times 1 is 5. Okay, so now I just completed this pair. I'm going to bring the 4 over 1. I'm going to divide that with 4 over 1. Okay, now look at that division. I turn that into multiplication. 4 over 1 becomes 1 over 4. This one stay the same. See that? Now look at that. 36 and 4. I can simplify. I can divide this by 4. I can divide this by 4. 4 divided by 4 gives me 1. 36 divided by 4 gives me, very good, 9, because 9 times 4 is 36. So now I can use the double arrow method. 9 times 1 is 9. 5 times 1 is 5. See that? Okay, so try to put this on the lower, so that way you won't mix it up thinking like up. Okay, so 5 times 1 is 5. 9 times 1 is 9. Now that's in the form of improper fraction. Okay, so we're going to use the double arrow method. That is in the form of improper fraction. So whenever I say the word improper fraction, what should come into your mind? Use the arrow down method to change it to a mixed number. Okay, so 9 divided by 5, that's what that means. 9 divided by 5. Then I use the long division, which means the cage approach. 9 kind of into Mr. Mac, I'll put inside the cage. 5 is kind of out, I'll put outside the cage. Okay, in 9 there's how many 5? 1. 1 times 5 is 5. 9 minus 5 is 4. And that's my remainder. Okay, so how do I express this now? So this will be 1, the whole number, the round number. Okay, and the denominator is 5. See that? 5. And the remainder is 4. That gives you 1/4/5, and that's the answer for this problem right there. Which one we do here? Right there, that's the one right there. Okay, see, that's pretty easy, isn't it? See, this one, what is it? All right, okay, good. So it gives you 1/4/5, which would be for this problem right there. Okay, see that? I gave you a mixed number, a fraction, and a whole number. Don't let that intimidate you. They're pretty easy. Okay, I know the number looks pretty, intimidating, but don't let that happen, because pretty easy. When they're dividing and multiplying, always change all them into fraction, fraction, fraction. You gotta have it in a form of fraction. All right, I will test you by giving you with the mixed numbers and a round numbers. Doesn't matter, just change them into fraction, and then just apply the principle that meant for multiplication, and then apply the principle that was meant for division. Same thing with addition and subtraction that you learn. All right, so it's very easy, very straightforward. Okay, good. I'm so glad you're learning so much, and I'm so proud of you. Well, that tells you what is time. I'm so proud of you. So that tells you it's time for hands-on practice. You're right, it's time for hands-on practice. Okay, so I know Pablo's busy putting some worksheets together for you to do some hands-on practice, and Mr. Max is going to erase the board and get the board ready for you, and we'll call Pablo out and you go and get him. All right, Tiger? All right, I'll be back with you in a few seconds. Right, my dear students, are you ready? Are you sure you're ready? I'm so glad you are ready. I know you are ready. And Pablo also is ready to bring you the hands-on practice worksheet. All right, Pablo, come on over, Pablo. Come on over. Here is our dear Pablo. He got some problems set up for us for the hands-on practice, and he's going to hand over to you. And have fun. All right, have really fun, and then come back, we'll work together. Okay, so here it is. Have fun. Okay, good. Well, he gave you another 10 problems, which is good. The more you practice, the better you get. All right, okay, good. Thank you, Pablo. So now let's go ahead, let's do it. The first problem is a word problem. Okay, so let's understand that question. We are given a milk seller pours 3 3/5 liters of milk into 9/10 liter bottles. How many 9/10 liter bottles of milk would we get? So in other words, so let's understand the question. The question says the milk sellers, he got, let's say, in a big bucket, okay, big bucket full of 3 3/5 liters of milk. So he got a lot of milk. So he's going to take those milk and pour it into bottles that measures 9/10 liters. So he wants to find out how many bottles he will get when he pours this 3/5 liters into the bottles that holds 9/10 liters. See that? So pretty much is what are we doing? We're taking 3/5 liters, we're dividing, okay, we're dividing it into 9/10 liters. Okay, so that will tells us how many bottles he will need it, or how many bottles he will get. Okay, so that means, let's rewrite that. Okay, we got 3/5. We're going to divide that by 9/10. See that? So this is the total milk that he has, and you want to break it up. Okay, you want to divide that into 9/10 liters, and we want to find out how many bottles it will create when I pour this into 9/10 liters. Does that make sense? Good. So now rest of it is what? Mathematics. All right, okay, so we got two numbers dividing. Are they both in a form of fractions? No, this one's not. This is in a mixed number, this one's in a fraction. So I have to convert this into a fraction. and mixed number into fraction, I use the semi-rotation method. So I multiply the first part and then I add the second part, and that will gives me what type of a fraction? Improper fraction. Okay, so 5 times 3 is what? 15. 15 plus 3, 18. So give me 18 over 5 divided by 9 over 10. Now both are in a form of fractions. Okay, good. So when I have a fraction, what do I do? What kind of method am I going to use? The doorknob method. We're going to change. We're going to turn the division into multiplication. When I turn that, what will happen to 9 over 10? 9 over 10 also flip. It becomes 10 over 9, or in other words, reciprocal. Okay, so the 10 over 9. So 9 becomes the denominator over here. The 10, the denominator, becomes the numerator. Okay, okay, good. And then we just bring the 18 over 5 down. We don't change that one. Okay, so now what do? It's a multiplication problem. All right, so first I want to see if I can simplify using the bow tie method. All right, bow tie method. Okay, so that means I'm going to look this way, this way, this way, and this way. All right, now look at that, 5 and 10. I can divide this by 5. I can divide this by 5. All right, that gives me 1, and that gives me 2. I can divide this by 9, and I can divide this by 9. See that? So that means this gives me 1 and this gives me 2. So now I use the double arrow method. 2 times 2 is 4. 1 times 1 is 1. So which means 4. So I get 4 bottles. When I pour the 3 over 5th liters into 9 over 10 liters, in other words, I divide that, okay? That means I get 4 bottles worth 9 over 10 liters of milk. Okay, good. So that'll be 4 bottles. All right. Okay, good. All right, let's look problem number 2. Problem number 2, true or false? So we're given 6 divided by 2 over 3. It's also equals to 2 over 3 divided by 6. So true or false? So we got 6 on this side, 2 over 3. Now I flipped it and I put 2 over 3 this side and divide that by 6. Good job. It is false. You cannot flip-flop with division. Okay, it's false. But you can do that with multiplication. Let's say if this would have been 6 times 2 over 3 and then 2 over 3 times 6. That is true. That is true. If it's multiplication, yes, but not division. Division, you cannot flip-flop. Okay, you got to keep it the way it is. Okay, so this is not. All right, but let me leave it that way because we're saying it false, otherwise it will be misleading. They're not same. Okay, good, but they are same if it's a multiplication. Okay, let's look problem number 3. Problem number 3, we're given 5 divided by 5 over 8. So now when you look at the problem, what kind of question do you ask? Ask yourself, are they both fraction? Okay, because you're dividing, so make sure they both are fraction, but they're not. This one's in the form of round number, a whole number. Now remember, round number means a number that it's not a fraction, doesn't have a fraction, or doesn't have a decimal. That's why it's called round number, which is a whole number. Okay, so if I use the word round number, and understand it's also a whole number I'm referring it to. Okay, so we're going to change the 5 into fraction, which is be 5 over 1 divided by 5 over 8. And we're dividing, so we use the doorknob method. So we're going to turn the division into multiplication. That means 5 over 8 also turns around, which means flips around, which means reciprocal. The reciprocal of that would be 8 over 5. Okay, and I just bring the 5 over 1 back. And I want to see if I can simplify before I multiply. The 5 and 5 can be simplified because 5 divided by 5 is 1, 5 divided by 5 is 1. Then I use the double arrow method. So 1 times 8 is 8, 1 times 1 is 1, which means 8. So 5 divided by 5 over 8 is 8. So keep in mind, all right? So it's very important. Okay, good. Then you understand the principle. Understand the principle. I don't want you to memorize the problem. Understand. Whenever you have a division or multiplication, make sure that both numbers are in a form of fraction. Okay? So when the division, you want to change the division to multiplication, use the doorknob method, change the division to multiplication, this one flips over. Okay? And 5 over 8 becomes 8 over 5. And then use this You simplify first and then use the double arrow method and you get the answer. Alright, good. Let's look problem number 4. Problem number 4, you're given 5 over 8 divided by 5. Now look at this. 5 divided by 5 over 8. 5 over 8 divided by 5. I flip-flop. So that pretty much going to prove to us this problem right here. True or false? Which was false, isn't it? So we're going to find out, is this going to give us the same answer or different answer? Definitely it's going to be different answer, alright? But we'll put that into practice, okay? So can I divide this yet? Not yet. Why? Because this is still in the form of round number, a whole number. So I'm going to make this into a fraction, which I'm going to put 5 over 1. Then I'm going to change the division into multiplication. I'm going to turn it. So I'm going to turn it, and that means 5 over 1 becomes 1 over 5. That one also turns. So you got 5 over 8. I just bring that down. Now look at that, 5 and 5, I can simplify. I can divide this by 5, I can divide this by 5. That means this is 1 and this is 1. Can I simplify anymore? No, that's it. So I use the double arrow method. 1 times 1 is 1, 8 times 1 is 8. See that? And it becomes 1 over 8. 8 and 1 over 8. It's a huge difference there. So they're not same. By flipping the numbers back and forth, it will not give you the same answer. So see that? That's why that was false. Alright? Okay, good. Alright, let's look problem number 5. Okay, so let Mr. Mac erase the board so we'll have some room. I'll be back within a few seconds. Alright, my students. Okay, problem number 5 is 4 over 5. Okay, problem number 5. Okay, we got 4 over 5 divided by 2 over 3. Pretty much I gave both in a form of fraction. So there's nothing for me to change. Just go ahead and do the division operation. Okay, the division turns into multiplication. That means 2 over 3 turns into 3 over 2. Okay, I just bring the 4 over 5 down. Very important. Okay, this is the one changes. This one never ever changes. Just bring it down. Alright, once you've done that, now you see if you can simplify. I can simplify this too. I can divide 2 by 2 gives me 1. I can divide 4 by 2 gives me 2. Alright, so now I can use the double arrow method because I can't simplify this way because 5 and 3 cannot divide by any number. So 2 times 3 is 6. 5 times 1 is 5. Now do I leave the answer this way? No, it's an improper fraction. So I'm going to use the arrow down method. So what I do? Exactly. I put it as a 6 divided by 5. And I translate that into a long division. We're using the cage approach. 6 goes inside the cage because 6 kind of into Mr. Mac. 5 is kind of out. I put outside the cage. In 6 is how many 5? 1. 1 times 5 is 5. 6 minus 5 is 1. And that's the remainder. So that means I'm going to express this in a form of 1, the whole number. This is the denominator, which is right there, denominator. And 1 is going to be my numerator. So which is 1 over 5. Okay, very good. All right, problem number 6. Problem number 6, I gave you a mixed number dividing with a round number, a whole number. Okay, so again, then both are not in a form of fraction. This is a mixed number and a whole number. Okay, so I'm going to convert both of them in a form of fraction. So I'm going to use this semi-rotation method and multiply first and then add. 4 times 3 is 12. 12 plus 3 is 15. Okay, very good. 4 times 3 is 12. 12 plus 3 is 15. Over, always bring the denominator. Divide that by 5 over 1. Exactly. Okay, so now we're going to use the doorknob because we're going to change, we're going to turn the division into multiplication. So that makes 5 over 1 becomes 1 over 5. But the 15 over 4 stay the same. Now can I simplify between 4 and 1? No, there's nothing I can do, but I can do between 15 and 5. I can divide this by 5 and I can divide this by 5. That gives me this one 1 and gives me 15 divided by 5 gives me 3. So now I can use the double arrow method. 3 times 1 is 3. 4 times 1 is 4. So that gives me 3 over 4. You got it? Good job. I'm proud of you. Excellent. Alright, let's do problem number 7. Okay, problem number 7 gives you 2 1 over 6 divided by 1 3 over 8. All right, and this one, both of them are in a form of mixed numbers. Okay, so we're going to change them into fraction. In other words, it's going to be improper fraction, but doesn't matter. We want it as long as it's a fraction. So we're going to use the semi-rotation method. We're going to multiply first and we're going to add. Multiply first, we're going to add. 6 times 2 is 12. 12 plus 1 is 13. So 13 over 6 divided by 8 times 1 is 8 plus 3 is 11. Okay, 11 over 8. The division becomes multiplication. We're going to turn the division into multiplication. Turn. So this one also turn, becomes 8 over 11. See that? 8 over 11. We're just going to bring the 13 over 6 straight down. Now we're going to simplify. We're going to use the bow tie method and see if we can simplify this way. Yes, I can divide 6 with 2. I can divide 8 by 2. So that gives me 4 and 3. Can I divide this way? No. Can I divide, let's say this way? No. This way? None. This way? None. I shouldn't say no, but none. Okay, none to simplify. Okay, and then so since none, I can multiply now. 13 times 4 and 3 times 11. So, okay, so we got 13 over 6 divided by 11 over 8. So now we're going to use the doorknob method. We're going to turn the division into multiplication. So what are we going to do? When you turn the division into multiplication, what happened to 11 over 8? Also turns. Okay, it turns. Okay, pretty much reciprocal. Becomes 8 over 11. The 11 over 8 becomes 8 over 11. Then bring the 13 over 6 straight down. Alright, now I want to see if I can simplify. Now 13 and 11 I can't, but 6 and 8 I can. I can divide this by 2. I can divide this by 2. So that gives me this one 4 and this one gives me 3. So now I can use the double arrow method. See that? So 13 times 4. Now that's outside our timetable. So we're going to use the long multiplication method. 13 times 4. So 4 times 3 is 12. 12 carry 1. 4 times 1 is 4 plus 1 is 5. So it becomes 52 over 3 times 11, 33. That's in our timetable range. Okay. So we got improper fraction. So we cannot leave the answer that way. So what do we have to do? We have to change it to a mixed number. So using the arrow down method, which tells you that means 52 divided by 33. Okay. And we're going to use the long division method. So when I say long division, the method I'm going to use is going to be the cage approach. 52 is kind of into Mr. Mac. I'm going to put inside the cage. 33 is kind of out from Mr. Mac. I'm going to put outside the cage. See that? Okay. Now ask yourself, in 52, there's how many 33? 1. So I'm going to put 1. 1 times 3 is 3. 1 times 3 is 3. So subtract. 2 minus 3, I can borrow from 5. 5 becomes 4 and 2 becomes 12. 12 minus 3 is 9. 4 minus 3 is 1. So 19. It's my balance. Alright, or remainder. So that means this is equals to 1 is the whole number. Okay, and the denominator is 33 right there. Okay, 33. So that means the remainder is going to be your numerator. Okay. So keep in mind, all right, always carry the same denominator, and that will automatically, you can put the numerator. Just in case if you forget it, this is how it can lead you to do that. So that way you don't mix it up between numerator and the denominator. Okay, and that's the final answer. Okay, good. So now let's do problem number 8. Problem number 8. Okay, problem number 8, we have 3 over 4 divided by 1 over 2 divided by 3 over 7. So you got 3 fractions is dividing. Now nice thing is all of them already expressed in the form of fractions, so you don't have to change them. Alright, so the key is in division and multiplication, fraction, fraction, fraction. Once it's in that format, you're good. You can go ahead and perform the operation. Alright, but look at that, you got 3 fractions you're dividing. You're going to use the left to right method. Very important, left to right. That means you have to pair these two first and solve them. Okay, perform the operation. Okay, and then once you're done, then only you can do the next one. You cannot mix it up, alright? You got to do this two first. That's why the left to right method, okay? Left to right method, okay? So you start from the left and then you go to the right. So we're going to do this one two first. So we're going to 3 over 4 divided by 1 over 2. The division, we're going to turn it into multiplication. That means 1 over 2 also going to be turned, becomes 2 over 1. And we're going to just bring the 3 over 4 down. Alright? And then we're going to simplify. We're going to divide 2 and 4 can be simplified. I can divide this by 2. I can divide this by 2. So that makes this one 1 and this one 2. I cannot simplify any further. I just go ahead and apply the double arrow method. 3 times 1 is 3. 2 times 1 is 2. Okay? Now I did this 2 now. Now I'm going to divide with that. So I'm going to take 3 over 2. I'm going to divide that with 3 over 7. Okay? Again, division. I'm going to turn that into multiplication. What happens to 3 over 7? Also turn, also reciprocal. Becomes 7 over 3. 3 over 2. I just bring that down. Can I simplify? Yes, the 3 and 3 I can simplify. I can divide this by 3. I can divide this by 3. That makes this one 1 and this one 1. I cannot simplify any further, so I go ahead and apply the double arrow method. 1 times 7 is 7. And then 2 times 1 is 2. See that? Do I leave the answer like that? No. Why? Because that's an improper fraction. Because the denominator is smaller than the numerator. So numerator cannot be bigger than the denominator. That makes this one improper. So when I say the word improper, you're going to use the arrow down method. Alright? So you can read that as 7 divided by 2. So we're going to use the long division. Okay? So we're going to use the cage approach. Okay? So I'm going to put the cage right there. 7 is kind of into Mr. Mac, I'm going to put inside the cage. 2 is kind of out from Mr. Mac, I'm going to put outside the cage. In 7, there's how many 2? 3, because we know that 3 times 2 is 6, minus 7 minus 6 is 1. That's my remainder, okay? And that's your round number. So that's your whole number, okay? So that means it equals to 3, and the 2 is your denominator. And 1 is your numerator, which is the remainder. And that's your answer. See that? Pretty easy, isn't it? Okay, good. Well, let Mr. Mac erase the board so we can do problem 9 and 10. And I'll be back with you in a few seconds. Alright, my dear students. Number 9. Okay, let's look at problem number 9. Alright, number 9, you're given 5 over 7 divided by 1 over 14 divided by 4. Look at the way the combination of numbers I gave you. I gave you a fraction, mixed numbers, and a round number, a whole number. Okay? So, pretty much what we should do, just change all of them into what? Exactly, fraction. That's it. Okay? This is already in a form of fraction, so I don't have to worry about that. And this one is a mixed number, so I'm going to use the semi-rotation method. Okay, the first part I'm going to multiply, the second part I'm going to add, addition. Okay, 14 times 1 is 14, plus 1 is 15. So 15 over 14. Now 4 is a whole number or round number, so I'm going to express that in a form of fraction. So what do I do? 4 over 1. That's it right there. Okay, so now I got 3 fraction I'm dividing. And what method do I use to solve this? Exactly, left to right method. Left to right method. Very important. I solve this 2 first and then that one. Alright? We're going to take this one apart. So 5 over 7 divided by 15 over 14. Okay, and it's in a division. So division, I'm going to turn that into multiplication using the doorknob method. Doorknob. Okay, so that means the 14, this one 15 over 14 also turns around, becomes 14 over 15. Okay, and I'm just going to rewrite the 5 over 7 back. Now once I express now in the form of multiplication. Okay, so what do I do now? Simplify using the bow tie method. Okay, 14 and 7 I can simplify. 5 and 15 I can simplify, because 14 I can divide that by 7, 7 I can divide by 7. Very important, if you divide 7, you also have to divide below also 7. You can't just divide this by something and then this one by something. No, that's what I'm doing. I'm finding the two that corresponding numbers that I can find the same number I can divide. Like in this 2, I can divide this by 5 and this one by 5. See that? That's very important. I'm pairing, alright? Okay, I cannot just, mix it up with different numbers. No, alright? See, that math it has its own rules. You got to obey the rule. Okay, when you break the rule, the consequence is what? You're going to get a wrong answer. Just in real life, in our day-to-day life. When you break a rule, what happens? There's a punishment. See that? Or some kind of a fine to it. So, right? So, same thing with mathematics. You got to obey the rule. Mathematics is very strict about it. If you break the rule, you're going to get the wrong answer. If you obey the rule, you're going to get the right answer. Okay, good. So, 7 divided by 7 gives me 1. 5 divided by 5 gives me 1. 14 divided by 7 gives me 2. 15 divided by 5 gives me 3. So, now I'm going to use the double arrow method. 1 times 2 is 2. 1 times 3 is 3. Okay, so I did this part. Now I got this one. I take 2 over 3, divide that by 4 over 1. See that? What I did? This is what we did right now. That's why I gave that one. I substituting for that with 2 over 3 and then dividing it with 4 over 1. Division, I'm going to turn it into multiplication. 4 over 1 turns into 1 over 4. 2 over 3. Simplify. 2 and 4 I can simplify by dividing it by 2, dividing it by 2. So that gives me this one to be 1 and this one to be 2. I use the double arrow method. 1 times 1 is 1. 3 times 2 is 6. And that's my final answer. 1 over 6. There's nothing I can do to this. I cannot simplify or anything. It's already in a simplest form. So I leave the answer like that. See, that's pretty easy, isn't it? It's so much fun. As you do, it flows. Once you understand and you apply all the rules and principles that you learn, it just flows like the river. There's no resistance. It just flows beautifully. That's as mathematics do. When you understand, when there's no resistance, the resistance when you don't know your timetable, when you don't know some of the addition, subtraction, multiplication, all that, that's the resistance. That stops the flow. Okay, the water is going to be turbulent. All right. Same thing with mathematics. When you have the problem, then you're like, you start like, oh no, what happened? So when you equip yourself with all the necessary tools that you'll need it, everything will go smooth. That's what's happening right here. It went smooth because we knew everything that we are doing. We learned it from a previous lesson, how to change mixed number into improper fractions, improper fraction into mixed numbers, and a whole number or a round number into a fraction. See that? All these are small things that adds up to it, that makes the problem goes smooth. Okay, so let's do that again with the problem number 10. Use everything that we learned and then we apply to it so that we can have a smooth flow like the river. Okay, all right, okay, good. So the question is 2 over 5 divided by 1 over 5 divided by 2 over 3. Should this problem intimidate you? It shouldn't. Why? That's a pretty easy problem. You got 3 numbers, all 3 are in a mixed numbers form, and just change them to fraction, which would be improper fraction. See that? That's it. Rest of it, like what we've been doing. Use the left to right arrow method, left to right method, and then we should be able to. Let's do that. So we're going to use a semicircle method, all right, for all 3 of them, because they all 3 are mixed numbers. First part, we're going to multiply. All right. The second part, we're going to add. Multiply, add. Very important. Don't mix it up. All right. Multiply, add. Multiply, add. How do I know multiply comes first? Okay. So M-A, ma. Just remember ma. What's the first word a baby says? Ma. See that? The same thing. Like a mother. Ma. So M is a multiplication. A is for addition. All right. Keep in mind. Okay. So 5 times 2 is 10 plus 2 is 12. 12 over 5. Always retain the denominator. Divided by 5 times 1, 5 plus 1 is 6. 6 over 5. 3 times 2, 6, plus 2, 8. 8 over 3. See that? Pretty easy, isn't it? See that once you get the rhythm, once you understand, it will go smooth. That's why practice, practice, practice. It makes permanent. Everything will become permanent in you. The principle, the methods, all these terms, everything becomes permanent in you. When you look at any problem, you know how to do it because it's already in you. Just like mathematics is in Mr. Mac. Mr. Mac's never born with the, to be a mathematician or something like mathematics, because Mr. Mac's been practicing for 23 years. Mr. Mac was living in the United States. I've been teaching mathematics every day to the point that mathematics is in Mr. Mac. I'm a living mathematics. I'm not a mathematician, but I'm a living mathematician. I know everything, how to teach, how to come up with questions, how to explain anything to do with mathematics. I can do it because I've been doing it for so many years, and everything becomes permanent in me that I don't have to look at a book. I can come up with things. I can teach. You just tell me what the question is. What do you want to learn? I know. I'll teach. It's not Mr. Mac born to be gifted. It's not Mr. Mac is special. It's Mr. Mac worked all these years in teaching mathematics. Okay? Come on over. Alright, we converted all of them in a form of fractions. Okay? So what's our next step? We're going to use the left to the right method. Left to right method. Okay? So we're going to start from left and then to the right. That means we're going to pair this up and perform the operation between these two fractions, and then we're going to perform the operation with the third fraction. Okay? So let's take this one apart. So 12 over 5 divided by 6 over 5. Alright? It's division. So we're going to turn that into multiplication. That means 6 over 5 becomes 5 over 6. That one also turns. Alright? And we're going to maintain the 12 over 5 the way it is. Can I simplify? Yes. I can divide this by 5. I can divide this by 5. See that? And I can divide this by 6. I can divide this by 6. Okay? That makes this one 1. This one 1. This one 1. This one 2. Then I'm going to use the double arrow method. 1 times 1 is 2 times 1 is 2. 1 times 1 is 1. See that? It becomes 2 over 1. Leave it that way because we're going to divide that with that. So leave it that way. So we're going to rewrite this 2 over 1. Divide that with 8 over 3. See that? Again, we're going to turn the division into multiplication. Okay? That also turns the 8 over 3 into 3 over 8. We're going to maintain the 2 over 1 the way it is. And now what do I do next? Simplify. 2 and 8 can be simplified. I can divide this by 2. I can divide this by 2. 3 and 1, there's nothing to do. Okay? So this one becomes 1. This one becomes 4. Now I use the double arrow method. 1 times 3 is 3. 1 times 4 is 4. Right there. The final answer is 3 over 4. Now, do I need to do anything with that? There's nothing, because that's already down to the simplest form. So leave the answer the way it is. And I know that's how you got it. Alright? I'm very proud of you. Because you're so good. You know why? Because you're best. You are the best. And you deserve the best. And that's why Mr. Mac is here, only to bring the best for you. Because I care about you. And it is coming from the best. Alright? Here it is, Pablo. And he's reminding us it's time for quiz. Because this is the end of our sub-lesson on multiplication and division. And I want you to go and get them because you're the best. I want you to go and do your quiz. Make sure you do good. Take your time. If you don't understand, go back and review the things that I taught you and then apply it. Alright? Because you deserve the best. And I want the best. I always want you to learn the most because I want you to be smart. I want everybody to look at you and say, oh, there goes Mr. Max student. There goes Score A Math Victory student. And you should always be proud of yourself. When you walk into the school, be proud of yourself because you are smart, you're working hard, and you also want to be humble and kind to other students to help them out when they're struggling. Okay? Make sure you concentrate on your school first, and also take time to help your friends, because you are a leader. You are, because you're learning from the best, and you belong to an elite group which is called Score A Math Victory Group. Alright? Okay. Alright, my dear students. Pablo just challenged you. He said, I dare you. That means he meant go do your quiz and come back as a victoriously to learn the next sub lesson. Alright? Come back as a champion. Okay? I'll be here waiting for you.